Do you have a full chart for that one yet?
Hey guys, welcome to the call. What's that, brother?
I was asking if you had the full chart for that yet.
Yeah, it's up. It's up, and it's on the
Okay, okay.
file section. So, guys, all right. So, listen, welcome, welcome, welcome. If you're watching this call right now, you're either new or you're a little bit confused. That's okay. The
I'm
reason,
lost, Jesse. I'm lost. I'm lost.
just so you guys know, if you're new, you're just coming in and you're just watching this for the first time, you just joined the academy, or if you've been here a little while, you probably know us. But I'm Jesse Miller. I'm the CEO of the company. And with my partner in crime with me on here, Rodney Peak, the credit champion himself, my co-partner. And we are here because, Rodney, you want to say hi?
Hey, what's up? Mr. Sanity here.
All right. So the reason we decided to do this video is we want to give you something to help walk you through the process. We've been doing this for a while. We've got flow charts up. If you haven't seen the flow chart, make sure you go in the mastermind group and go to the file section and look for the flow chart. It actually says flow chart for the RTG A to Z, exactly that title. If you're not in the mastermind yet, the mastermind group, and you're watching,
get in there.
You need to get in there. So what
right.
I'll do is I'm going to put a link down below this video so you can go to the mastermind group. You just click it and go to it, or you reach out to me on Facebook so we can get you added in, because you're missing out on all kinds of good stuff. Now, let's get started. Let's get into this. Rodney, you ready?
I was ready yesterday.
All right, good deal. So what we're going to do is we're going to start from the beginning. We're going to tell you exactly step by step what you should be doing to get the most effective and best results that you can get with the RTG and our system here at the Academy. So what we want to do is we want to start with the flow chart. Rodney's going to walk through this, and we're just going to kind of make sure we're touching on walk through it. Make sure we're touching on all the bases here to help you to get started. So with that being said, Rodney, why don't we kick it off with what they should start with first, which is the cut the strings, right, of all things.
All right, well, yeah, absolutely. Cut the strings. Now, what the cut the strings is, guys, it's cutting the strings to any and all undesired personal identifiers that are reporting. Now, let me make this explanation real fast. The cut the strings letter is not a dispute. It is not a challenge. It is a request. No credit bureau and no creditor has the requirement to listen to your request. They can just completely ignore it and be in complete agreement with the federal laws. There is nothing that says they have to remove these personal identifiers unless the identifiers are untrue or somehow absolutely without a doubt incorrect. At that point, they have to remove it. But that would be a dispute. We're not doing that. All we're doing is requesting. So when we're doing this cut the strings, we're not saying that, hey, this is wrong or this is not true. What we are saying is that, hey, we would rather you have it listed this way. And, you know, this is how we want it listed. Would you please remove it and put it this way instead? And lo and behold, we also leverage the laws and say, look, you know what? According to federal laws, you have to report correct information. We're not doing any lying. We're telling them what the law is. We're not telling them, hey, you know, we're saying you're wrong. We're not saying it at all. We're saying, hey, you know what? This is how it is definitely correct, and this is how we want to report it. You know, my name is Rodney Peak. You have it down as Rodney E. Peak. Will you please only report my first and my last name? I never say that my middle name is not Eugene or my middle name is not E. I don't say that. I just say, look, I would prefer you to report only requisite reported material. And the only requirement according to the federal laws is your first name and last name. It does not say anything about middle initial and middle name. Now, that does not say it's not allowed. It's just saying it's not specifically mentioned. And that's because most people, a lot of people actually don't have, well, I'm not going to say most people, but a lot of people don't have a middle initial or middle name. The same thing with generation, like senior, junior, first, second, third, or whatever. A lot of people don't have those things, so that's not a requisite reporting. So if my name was Rodney Eugene Peak Sr., I would say, look, please remove Rodney Eugene Sr., report my first and last name as Rodney Peak or Rodney New or whatever the hell my name was at the time. That I want, my first and my last name. I don't mention my middle name and my generation. I'm not saying it's not legal. I'm just saying, look, this is what I authorize you to report. And lo and behold, because they're confused and they're lazy, and it's just too much effort for them to prove that they had the right to report that stuff, they just delete it. Maybe not the first time, everything, but as you have seen in the groups, the more you play with the cut the strings, the more you send it out, the more things come off. Somebody asked me one time, well, how often should I send it? Me personally, at a very minimum, you want to send it every single attack wave. But me personally, I send it every chance I get. When I have my practice going on, I actually send it for every client, regardless if we got results back on. I sent the cut the strings request letter every 2 weeks, period. As long as they had, hang on a second. Sorry, that a little cold here. But anyway, as long as they had an inquiry or some kind of derogatory event or any item that I did not want reported, I went ahead and challenged it, or not challenged, but I sent a request in using the cut the strings. I continually send it in there. Unlike a dispute and unlike a challenge, they will never consider that frivolous, or they can't legally do it because you're not disputing a single thing. You're not disputing any accounts. In fact, you never mention a single account or a single inquiry in the cut the string letter. Yet, somehow or another, when you cut these personal identifiers off, it's not uncommon. You'll see a lot of derogatory accounts and derogatory inquiries deleted as a result. Even though you never mention them once, they will still get deleted a lot of times. Not always, but a lot of times. We see it all the time. So to cut the strings is something you want to definitely start off with, and you want to continually do it each and every wave minimally, at least each and every wave. And I would make that a process to keep doing permanently. I would never stop sending that. I would continually send that. As long as you got credit and as long as you got creditors, there's a possibility of identifiers that you don't want reported. And there's never no harm of doing more to help yourself. So make it a habit to send it out as much as possible. And
okay,
if you're worried that, go ahead.
Let me add, because we get so many questions on this cut the strings. Okay, so just so we can bring it back, because a lot of the stuff that people are doing, they're saying they're sending out the cut the strings, then they get confused, right? They're like, okay, I faxed it. Do I need to mail it too? That's one question that I see come up quite often. Do they need to mail it if they're already faxing it?
Unlike the challenge letters and unlike the dispute letters, you can do just fax and be just fine. But if you want best results, you do maximum effort. So again, I would say in my mind, yes, you want to fax it if you can do that. You want to mail it for sure. You can upload it if you want, if you wish. I mean, why not? I mean, it comes down to, how much do you really want to win the game? If you're able to score another touchdown, why not? Okay, we're up 44-0. Do we not score another touchdown? No. If I can score another touchdown, I'm going to score another touchdown. Make it 51-0. Do I stop it at 1 yard line instead of scoring a touchdown? Yeah, sure. Some people will, but I won't. I'm going to score a touchdown. I want the glory. You do the same thing. Do you want more wins or do you want less wins? That's on you.
Well, let me point out.
You can just fax it. Yes, you can just fax it, but you want maximum results. Do as much delivery as possible.
Perfect. That's what I was going to say next, Rodney. That was my next, basically suggestion, question type thing, right? Because we see this all the time, guys. If you're watching this, you're new. You don't have to mail it, but we always teach you the more you can do to be a gnat on the credit bureaus, right? That pest where you make them work more and have to certify more letters, do more work, and actually have to spend more money. They're going to look at that either as it's kind of like this teeter-totter of weights, right? You know how you have those pinnacle of weights. You have one side, you have this, all your credit reporting, your bad inquiries, your bad identifiers, everything over here. And this is how the credit bureaus are getting paid, right? The more they can stack on this side, it weighs down, and they make money from that. So what you're doing now is you're sending in your letters, and it's starting to teeter-totter all this stuff that's going on. And so what happens is if you start to pile too much on this side, and if you guys can see me right now, if you start to pile too much on this side with letters and having to make them work, then what happens, it starts to outweigh the money and the time and the efforts that would take with just reporting it, which is for them, it's pretty easy because they just get the information, right? So what happens is you're making them spend more time and money and efforts and resources. So now it becomes a burden, a gnat, as we say, and more money, more expensive. So it's just easier just to get rid of it, so they get rid of you in that issue.
Right.
So
exactly.
So what happens is you start to really balance the process here. You become very, very compelling in these letters by using them the way we're showing you how to use them. So with that being said, cut the strings. Yes, you can fax it and mail it, and even if you knew how to upload, which if you're new, you don't want anyone to talk to that yet, but we do have training on that. But if you don't have to do anything but fax, because I've seen people just fax and get results very quickly. Even bankruptcies taken off in 2 weeks. So will that happen?
Absolutely.
Is it a guarantee? No, because everybody's different. Every situation is different. I will tell you, it's just a game. All right, so let's go to the next step. What would be the next step? Let's say let me set up this scenario for you, Rodney, because I want to make sure we really touch on this. This is why we're doing this video in the first place, because we get these questions and you feel like just saying, please go look at the flow chart. Go watch this.
Right.
So I've sent out my cut the strings. I'm getting these frivolous letters back. These letters coming back from the credit reports, and they're just weird letters. What do I do? Do I panic? Do I freak out? Do I send wave one now? What do I do if I get these letters that automatically come and they don't really say anything, right? They haven't really said anything what they're doing that we've seen.
Well, of course you climb the top of the mountain and jump off. Why not? No, you absolutely do not panic. First of all, these letters are randomly sent for whatever reason, no rhyme or reason for it. They just, listen, they have some preset parameters that every so often these letters will go out. Just preset random. Now, that's not saying you necessarily got a random letter, but, let's be honest. You send the same letter out to all three bureaus, and one bureau is saying it's frivolous and the other ones are not. There's something fishy on with that. What's going on with that? Let's say you send the same letter out, but for different type items, and one time, due to fax, it goes through just fine, and there's no frivolous response. But yet, when you send it to mail, they say, well, it's frivolous or it's not right address or whatever. At some point, you got to be common sensible yourself and say, well, you know what? They're just pulling my chain here. Something's wrong with that.
Okay.
So I wouldn't worry about it. Any letter you get from a creditor or a collector themselves, me personally here, I shred them. I don't even open the letter. I just put it right in the shredder. I don't even pay them. We're on our first wave, and all we're doing is sending a distractor to them. So anything we send to them is nothing but a distractor. That is it.
Very.
So yes, do I shred up some positive results? I might. Who knows? But they had nothing to say to me that I really care to hear. I have no interest in hearing what they got to say. I don't care. I know I'm going to win this battle, and they know it too. Yeah. I'm not worried about it.
So, again, let me reiterate that. So, creditors, doesn't matter if they send you letters. It doesn't matter if they threaten you. It doesn't matter if they do whatever they want to do. Just take them, throw them in the bin, and move on. We're focused here on credit bureaus. And,
that's right.
And I want to make sure that we really point this out for the new people that, because we get a lot of questions that are constantly being taken, or asked, and people freaking out when they get someone calling or getting a letter. So can you touch on that just a little bit, Rodney, for new people, just in case?
Let me after that, we'll definitely touch on that. First of all, let me say this. Do not avoid sending the creditors these letters you got. Well, we're too distracted. We don't really need to send it, right? No, you do.
We can't hear you, Rod. You're muffled. You're muffled.
Okay, I'm sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. What I was going to say was that on the creditors, just because of distraction does not mean you should not send the letters we have designed to go to the creditors and the collectors. Still send it out, even though we don't care about the response. You want to send it out because you want to put them to work as well. And here's exactly why. Let's say you send Capital One a challenge letter, and they also reported to say Equifax, TransUnion, and Experian, whatever. So you send obviously the same or a similar challenge letter to each of the bureaus. Now, instead of the creditors only having to deal with that one letter from you, they also got to answer all three letters from the bureaus as well. If any one of those they are failed to do, the item is reported illegally and they got to remove it. Mm-hmm. So you don't want to remove work from them. So don't say, well, I'm just going to do the letters to the bureaus only and not do the letters to the creditor, because all you're doing is removing responsibility for them and removing work for them. You're helping them out. Now, as for somebody calling you, whether it be a creditor, a collector, or a bureau, well, first of all, a bureau would never call you to insult you or to warn you or nothing. They don't give you warning. A creditor that calls you because of a letter, you're costing them money already. So you already won the game. If it's a real creditor or a real collector, which it probably isn't, but if it is a real one and they're calling you, they're spending time, logistics, money, and they're paying somebody that time to be on the phone with you, which is not cheap. Whereas usually only 4 or 6 cents to hit a little button. The reason why they're calling you is because they can't easily verify it. They just can't say, oh, verify it and turn it into the bureau. Or they tried it and the bureau said, no, that's not good enough. We want the certificate of compliance. Present that to us now. That's what they're saying. So they're frustrated because they can't present that. Mm-hmm. And they know they're screwed. So they're going to try to call you and create a chaos with you, hoping that you do something stupid like verify to them on the phone or whatever. If they ever call you and threaten you, that's a violation. That's illegal. In fact, in some states like Alabama, that's a criminal offense. It's not just a civil offense. It's a criminal offense. You can actually go to a local law enforcement here and press charges against them for criminal harassment. And I've done that here before when they called my client and were threatening them, saying, you know what, we're going to come knock on your door. They can't. Well, first of all, a creditor would never knock on your door. They would never do that. Unless they live right next door to you, it makes no sense for them to do that. And let's say that a creditor did, or a collector did decide to go knock on your door. How much time and effort and money does it cost them to do that? Probably a little more than what it costs them to just simply verify. There's a reason why they would do that. They would go through those screens because they know they lost the battle already. So if you get a call, assume that it's a scam, which is 99.9% of the time. It turns out to be a scam. Somebody's saying they're a collector, this and that. Maybe there's somebody from China or Taiwan or where the heck they're at. But almost never is it a real creditor or a real collection agency that has a real brick and mortar location. So I wouldn't worry about it. I wouldn't worry about it.
Okay, and that's a good point. Now, I know we've gotten that question. Now, here's another good one that I'm going to touch on this, and then I want to kind of close out on cut the strings part so we can move into the steps and when to start the next step, of course. But right. We get this quite often where people are asking questions where they get a letter, they post it and say, hey, I got this letter. What do I do next after they send out like the cut the strings? And usually in these letters, they usually all say the same, but they say, well, we've went over, we've reviewed your inquiry on this information, but for some reason, some of the information we don't have, or it's not accurate, or something's going on here where we don't have enough information to determine the next step for you. Please send us some more information. We've seen that quite often, right?
Right.
We're saying send some more information.
Right. Okay. If a creditor sends you a letter, again, like I said beforehand, if a creditor or collector sends you a letter, ignore them. Who cares? There's nothing wrong with sending them identifying objects if you send it to them in the first correspondence. So when you first challenge them, if you send identifying objects at all ever, send it in the first statement only. Do not send it beyond that point, because if you do respond to them again, you legally give them 30 additional days, not 5 or 10 or 15. The bureaus will get 15 extra days, but the creditors get 30 added days. It's like a complete new challenge to them, or dispute if you're disputing. So do not respond to them with identified objects. Second of all, the only way they would ever write you asking for an identified object is when they don't have it. If they don't have it, they're going to ask you for it because, let's be honest, if they could just simply If they can just simply verify what they have already, they would have done that. They wouldn't wrote you a letter, because writing you a letter, even a cheap one-page letter, still costs them at least, what, 50 cents on a stamp, plus the envelope, plus the time for them to put it in the envelope and print it out. I mean, you're looking at, 3 or 4 minutes of labor, which, if you got an agent, that might be, what, 30 or 40 cents. But then the stamps, like you said, overall, it's going to cost over $1. Mm-hmm. Now, that might not sound like a big deal to you, but you're talking about thousands of people that mail them every day. They're not gonna spend that kind of money to do that if they can just simply, for 4 cents, hit a click button that says verified.
Right.
So you're costing them 25 to 30%, or 25 to 30 times more just by them sending you a letter. So just ignore them.
Okay. So what about credit bureaus? Because we got to keep in mind.
Okay.
Now we always see.
Yes, credit bureaus.
Let me touch on this real quick, and then we'll jump on that if you're okay with that.
Yes,
I want everybody to understand that when you send out cut the strings, you don't have to even. I don't, in my own opinion, I would say don't even send it to them. It's not really important to send it to them. The credit bureaus, you send the cut the strings to them, you fax it, or if you like, you can mail it too. But again, you can fax it and just get just as good results from that. But let's say for this call, and someone new, because we want to try to keep it kind of basic so they can kind of follow it. You send out your cut the strings to the credit bureaus, all 3 different ones, right? And you send the cut the strings, fax it, then you get a letter back within a few days or maybe a week, and it says, we went over, we investigated a little bit, we reviewed it, and for some reason, some of the information was missing. We need you to send us more information. What do you do?
Right. Okay. A credit bureau is different from a creditor or a collection agency. Mm-hmm. For a credit bureau, there's never any harm in sending them identifying object. So do that. That's what they do. They collect identifying objects. So send it to them. It does not hurt you. If they're asking, don't send them more what they ask you for. If they ask you for the driver's license, send it to them. If they ask you for this and that, send it to them. Go ahead and send it to them. It don't hurt. Send it in this first letter and send it in every letter, actually. That's what you should do.
Okay.
But it's just a star letter. But if you don't respond to them, unlike a creditor and a credit bureau, when a credit bureau sends you a letter and they want a response, legally, they don't have to restart their calendar until they get your response back. So let's say they sent you a letter out on day 7. Their time stops until they get your response back. So if it takes you 10 days to respond back to them, on the 17th day is when their new start starts up again. So their 17th day really is only the 7th day again, and they got 23 more days. Mm-hmm. So all you're doing by delaying to the credit bureaus is just delaying results and getting back to you. They went out altogether. If it gets to 15 days that you didn't answer, they no longer have to consider your report. So they're challenged. So if you don't answer them within 15 days, they can automatically discount your whole challenge.
Okay.
Hence, you won't get an answer at all.
And that's a good point. So should they send in another cut to strings with their information, or just their information, like their social, their ID, and their
bill? I mean, if you want maximum results, yes, send the cut strings right along with it. Why not?
Okay, so send cut
you don't have to. You can just send the identified objects, absolutely. But why not? Why not take that opportunity to punch them in the face again? Why not?
So resend.
It's just a request.
And the only reason I'm asking this because I want people to know that they can resend this without being a problem. So you can resend the cut the strings letter with the exact same information and the exact same social ID and billing, because obviously for some reason they didn't get it, but who cares? It's still not an opportunity for you to send out another cut the strings, right? So good opportunity.
Right, and what Jesse just said was very important. Do not change a single letter on the letter. Or don't on the notice. Nothing. Don't change a single thing. Let's say that you had a name on there, John Doe, and it got erased. Don't go in your letter and edit it out. You want your letter to be exactly the same, because if you send a different letter, at that point it will be legally frivolous, and they can discount everything. They can just say, well, you're only frivolous. We're not even going to answer none of this stuff. So just leave it to say, I don't care in third wave if you got 7 names that were originally listed, and 6 of those names are gone now. Don't edit it out and make it only one name go back in. Set all of it in there. Make them recheck. At worst case scenario, they will come back to you and say, hey, this name, John Doe, Jane Doe is not reporting no longer. That's all. That's the worst case scenario. They will not add that name on there. Only a creditor can add on there.
Here's
absolutely do not change. Go ahead.
No, it's a good point because this adds on to what you're saying here. Do not change anything, and that goes for because I've had this same thing, and I've had to figure this out with Rod, right? With Rodney. So, should you change the date? So, say I sent it out a week or so ago, and the date on it says when it was then. Is it okay to go ahead and send that exact same one with a different date on? With the same?
So the date don't matter. The information is what matters. The date does not matter. No, the date don't matter. The personal tracking number don't matter. What does matter is the actual content of the letter itself.
Boom.
Those things you don't want to change.
There you go. So that's that's cut the strings, guys. So we really broke that down. So I'm hoping we touched on some questions and this should help you. So cut the strings, first letter, fax it out. It goes out day 1. Then you have an option to either start on your 8th, which we're going to jump in now, which is going to be your Octave Attack 8-step process. Now you can send it out the same day, or you can wait one day, which will be the next day after you send out Cut the Strings. The exact next day, you send out all 8 letters, and we're going to talk about that right now. Right. So let's start.
Hold on. One more time. Let me say one more thing real fast first.
Sure.
Okay. In the group, I don't know if I put in the files or not. In the group, I actually, because here's the question that come up. Somebody said, "What if my personal identifiers are perfect? What if they only have, Chris Samuel, and they have it exactly correct in there? Can I challenge that still?" Absolutely. And I broke it down exactly how to do it. I'm not going to describe here how to do it, but there is in the post somewhere or in the file somewhere. I broke it down. What if the circumstance where everything is reported exactly correct? Maybe they do have it as only 123 Maine and Mobile, Alabama, and they have it exactly the way you wanted, you requested it. How can you still challenge it? And I broke it down exactly how to do it and do it ethically without misleading them and without doing anything illegal. At no time does the M2C Academy desire for you to mislead or lie or present any kind of false statement at all. Mm-hmm. However, we do say emphasize your authority. That's the main thing. You're going to present your authority to all things. I'll make sure that me and Jesse get that uploaded into the file section and also wherever else needs to be, wherever Jesse decides to put it, and we'll highlight that. This is what Rodney was talking about.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, also all we got to do is search this group. So we'll go search the group and find it. So if you have any questions on anything that it was already posted, you just go in and type in search the group, and it'll pull up all the posts that have that in there. So, all right, so let's keep on track here now. That's a good point, though. That was a really, really good point. If you already have you feel like you already have everything, and you don't have any bad identifiers, still send it because it doesn't hurt, is what he's saying.
Right.
Okay.
Right. If you got any derogatory events at all, like an inquiry or a late payment or a no pay, any kind of derogatory events anywhere, you need to continually affect the personal identifiers because there's something that's attaching those things to your files. Yeah. And you want to cut them off.
There you go. Perfect. So it's just in case, right? You're just protecting yourself.
Exactly.
Yourself. Okay. So, and you listen, guys. You guys buy insurance, don't you? Right. So this is your insurance. All right. You're insuring that you have everything correct, whether you believe it or not, or you do. This is your insurance, so make sure you send it. Now, let's move into the next phase, which is going to be the 8 steps the next day, or you can send it the same, but the next day preferably. Let's say step 1. What do we do, Rod? What is the step 1 of the 8 steps?
The 8th step, Octo Attack. I guess it would be better named the Nano Attack since we're using the personal identifier attack as cut the strings as well. But we've already talked about the pre-step. The pre-step being to cut the strings. The first item to address in the Octo Attack, again, all these steps are done on the same exact day. We broke it down into different parts. The things we're going to address specifically in the Octo Attack are specific addressing will be for inquiries, late payments on accounts that you want to keep reporting, and also any other items as well. But we're going to hit mainly. Go ahead.
Let me say something, because you said something. This is all sent the same day, so make sure we clarify, because people get so confused. Again, the 8 steps, same day. The cut the strings can go out the day before. So that's what we're talking about.
Right. Yes. It can be same day or next day, regardless. Yes. And somebody's asked beforehand, what if I send them out, day after day, one day, next day, the same. We're not going to say it won't help. It might, but we can't say it would. I think the benefit would be so minimal that your time and effort would be better to send them all at one time or one day behind each other. That's it. Like Jesse suggested. I don't see a great significant percentage difference by sending one day, next day, a third day, a fourth day, a fifth day. I mean, I guess you could do that, but in my office, I had thousands of files. I couldn't necessarily do that. I would go nuts.
Yeah.
I'm already nuts as it is.
So cut the strings. You can send out the day before. The next day, send all 8 letters at the same time. Okay.
Right. We'll make that our official statement. Yeah. Cut the string day 1. Day 2 will be, which is first day of OctoAttack, will go for your other items that we're dealing with, which would be hard inquiries, late payments, and then everything else. Now, the reason why we're hitting hard on hard inquiries and late payments is this reason right here. First of all, what is an inquiry? An inquiry is an application. That's all it is. It's an application. And what is an application? An application is just a simple document that has a bunch of what? What we just covered? Personal identifiers. It has a bunch of personal information. And guess what? It's the worst kind of personal information you could possibly have. It's stuff that you put on there. It ain't stuff they put on there. It's stuff that you put on there. So in hard inquiry is you verifying information. So there's really no way to dispute a hard inquiry, really. I mean, honestly. How do you dispute something that you did? Because it's completely true. And it's going to be as accurate as you put it in there. So to me, disputing it is at minimal asinine. Definitely not worthwhile to do. However, you can challenge for the compliance. So what we're trying to do, we always address the inquiries, because the inquiry is nothing but a big, giant personal identifier verifier. And if you can't get rid of the inquiries, the odds of you getting rid of enough of the personal identifiers is slim as well. And you'll see over time, if you haven't already, the more personal identifier you have, the more hands you have holding the bad stuff to your credit file, like a bankruptcy or like a charge-off or a collection or whatever. So you want to cut off all the personal identifier information, which includes the hard inquiry information, because the hard inquiry is nothing but a big, giant recording of your personal identifier that you did yourself. Now, step 1 of the OctoAttack, which officially will be our step 2 because we did the personal identifiers first, but of the OctoAttack itself, step 1 will be the hard inquiry letters going to each and every creditor and creditor collectioner agency as well. So you want to send it to the creditors and the collectors. And you're like, well, why would I send it to a collector? Well, here's why. A collector is able to check your credit anytime they want to. They have a relationship with you based on the credit bureau. Since they reported credit on you, they have access to your credit file. They have permissional purpose because they are a creditor. Even though you don't call them a creditor, they're on your credit report, so legally they are a creditor. So they are able to go check your credit. You want to remove that. You don't want, of all people, you don't want a collection agency looking at your credit. And the last thing you want them to do is that, because they will look on it and they will say, wait a minute, we have a relationship with JCPenney as well. So even though this is Home Depot, we also know who JCPenney is. We have contacts there. They contact JCPenney, makes you know they get more identifying information on you. So they can use that credit report to find more information about you. Cut that string. Get that out of there. So the cut the string letter does it, but also when we're going to attack them with letter 1 of the OctoAttack, which is actually the high DC letter, which is the hard inquiry direct creditor attack letter for the inquiries.
HIDC.
Right, HIDC, exactly. So that's going to each creditor and each collector, each one of them. Each one of them.
Step one.
Now,
Step
you
one.
step one, absolutely. Now, also, you got step 2, 3, and 4. Step 2, 3, and 4 are letters 2, 3, and 4. Those are to each of the bureaus. Experian is letter 3 or 2. TransUnion is letter 3. Equifax is letter 4. So again, these are not the same letter as letter 1. They have the same type of effect, but these are aimed at bureaus. Bureaus have a different law to follow than does a creditor and a collection agency.
Okay.
A bureau follows the FCRA, whereas a creditor that's reporting you based on a collection follows the FDCPA, but they also have some of them that follow the FCRA. But to cover your tail on the bureaus, you can only compel them to follow the FCRA and the Metro 2 data format, which, by the way, all parts of the credit avenue have to follow the Metro 2, whether they're a collection agency, a bank, a collector, a bureau, any repository. Anybody that has your report or has a avenue to get your report, they all have to follow the Metro 2 format.
Okay.
No one's allowed not to follow it.
Let me ask you this.
So, go ahead.
Because we get this question. How many, and let's go back to talking just specifically about the increase. How many increase should or how many can they add to each letter to get the best power?
All right. We have done lots and lots of testing on this.
Mm-hmm.
And for us, we see significant lower results once you hit 11 or more inquiries. So keep it under 11. We find maximum results, less is best. So the less information you put on a challenge letter, the better off you are. Let's say you have 11 inquiries, for example, and you want to challenge them. You could put them all in one letter. You're going to get good results eventually. I mean, you're not going to have no problem getting results, but you'll get better results if you broke it down into, say, 3, 3, 3, and 2. Write out 4 different letters. I mean, it's only a stamp. You know, don't worry about it.
Or facts.
Okay.
It's a freaking fax.
All facts are free. Yeah, with facts. In fact, I think it was MetroFax gives you like 500 free faxes.
Yes.
So it's not like it's going to cost you a penny. Right, it costs you time. It costs you a few minutes. No big deal.
With the
and
RTG
we don't limit how many. Right, and on an RTG, you can write as many letters as you want to. You can write 1,000 of them, 10,000 of them. We don't care.
Yeah.
We allow you to do as many as you want to. It's unlimited. It's not limited.
Yeah.
You don't have 30 only.
Remember the weights, right? Remember the outweighs. You're trying to outweigh their
exactly.
If they're having all this over here with bad reporting, they're making money from it, and then you keep hitting them with all these letters. Well, that's time, money, effort, resources. You're costing them money, and what they want to do is just get rid of you. So that's
right. Think about it like this, guys. If you put all 11 inquiries on one letter and send it into the bureau, it gets one person decides an all or nothing. You know, if that person is a good person, they might delete them all. They very well might. But the odds are they won't delete them all. Maybe you got one person that's really a pain in the butt. You got a greater chance of getting them deleted. You got a greater chance for them to verify all of them than you do to get all of them deleted on that by one person. Mm-hmm. You have a greater odds of getting more deleted if you send out separate letters. You know, me personally here, because I could afford it here, I got lucky on that matter. I send out one inquiry per letter because I wanted to get to 11 different investigators or hit eOscar 11 different times. That gives me 11 different chances to get success.
There you go.
The odds of me getting verified 11 different times are a lot less than me getting verified one time. You know, I want to make it like this said. I want to flood them. You know, do I punch him one time and hope for a knockout, or do I get 11 punches at him and try to knock out? I got a better chance of knocking out with 11 punches than I do with one punch.
There you go. And I would say, I mean, Rodney said 11. I would say 10 or less. But I think 3, 3, and 3, and then 1 would even be more powerful. So keep this in mind, guys. So how about we do this?
Yeah, less is best.
Yeah, so less is best, and more is great on the right. Less is best. on the letters, but more going to them is more powerful. So very, very good to know. So can we?
So if you got a credit, so if you got a creditor, if you got an inquiry going to a creditor or a collection agency, use wave 1, letter 1. If you got a bureau letter, let's say it's Experian, use wave 1, letter 2. If it's TransUnion, use wave 1, letter 3. If it's Equifax, use wave 1, letter 4. Now, the TransUnion one. TransUnion, we also gave you a free write-up called the Dual TransUnion Glitch. That is not our stuff. That is stuff freely found on the internet. It is a dispute method. Now, the reason I'm mentioning it to you, we were going to not put that in there and give it to you guys, but we decided to give it to you guys because you guys are adults. You guys should make a decision on yourself, and it's not my right to tell you what to do. Yeah. I suggest not using it because it is a dispute method, and I really don't like the idea of mixing disputes with challenges. Well, I think it counter-competitive. But if you do it, go hang on a second, Jesse.
Well,
if you do, go ahead.
What I was going to say is we're getting ready to launch 2.0 anyway at this point, Rodney. We haven't really went over this, but I'm going to be taking that stuff out. So I think at this point, I haven't really seen anybody really wanting to use that. So maybe let's just not put it in there.
Yeah, that's why I am adjusting it, because somebody did want to use it. That's why I'm not adjusting it.
I got you.
Right, that's about 3 or 4 people actually. But anyway, again, you could use that, but it is not something that's sponsored by us. You know, your results are what it is. Now, what I did do was that I did go in there and I changed the verbiage of it to more match ours. So you have a greater chance of getting results based on what they were saying. But in other groups, in other places you find it, they say that, hey, you know, this is going to get you this. This is going to get you that. Well, we don't say that. We're like, you know what? Yeah, it could, but they're telling you to use lies and to use misleading concepts. They're saying to say it's not yours. They're saying to say it's fraudulent. They're saying to say it was a glitch. Well, we're not saying it at all. We're saying, look, you know what? That's what they present. Here's how we suggest you do it if you were to do it. But we actually suggest you don't do it at all. But if you're actually dead set on doing it, do it this way. But if you do the TransUnion glitch, do not send the TransUnion Bureau letter out until you get the results back from that TransUnion call that you made for the glitch. Wait on that TransUnion inquiry letter that you're going to send for the challenge, because you don't want to send a challenge letter while you have a dispute letter in play. Because if you do, all you do is cancel out your challenge letter, and you will get no results. Or vice versa. The challenge letter will cancel out the dispute letter. Either way it goes is a lose-lose. You don't want to do that.
Here's something I'm going to touch on, because with the new 2.0, we're not going to have that glitch form in there. I'm going to leave it in the membership area, where you're coming in for the basic membership area for the RTG. You'll have that in there. So for anyone, and
good, that's good.
And here's the thing: if you're new and you're just learning to do this, you don't really have a credit repair business. You're just learning to do this so you can fix your own. Don't even worry about it. You don't even need that. So I don't want you feeling like that's something you need to do. As Rodney said, there's a couple of people that were asking.
But this is something that other groups. What it is, Jesse? This is something that other groups pass around like it's magic.
There you go.
You know that. They pass around like, you know, they'd be like, I got 80 deletions just by calling them. Well, you could. I mean, that is realistically possible. Maybe for like 1 out of 1,000 people. So if it worked that easy, that good, every professional will be doing that. And let's be honest, if it's that good, who's going to tell you?
Well, yeah.
Why would they tell you?
If you can get that many deletions, or even any deletions, I might as well just be calling them, right, and get it done, be done. I'm busy, right? I don't have time to be doing.
Well, let's say you're a business, or let's say you're not a business. Let's say you came up with this, you found this quote glitch that works so great all the time, not here and there, all the time. If it worked that way all the time, let's be honest, would you even tell anybody? No, because you'll keep it yourself, and you really could exactly. Listen, I've made millions of dollars getting rid of inquiries off reports. And believe me, if I thought this is a moneymaker, I would have been using it all along. I would be passing on to you. And this is somebody that is probably the best inquiry remover in the world.
Yeah, the
I don't mean
credit.
to pat myself on the back, but I
No,
made
no.
millions of dollars on it.
There you go. The credit champion. He's not called the credit champion for nothing, guys. So I do
Fair
want you to.
champion. That's right.
So here's what I want one more thing, and then I want to move on to the next step, Rodney, if you're okay with that, brother.
Okay. Absolutely.
Can you give us a for new people? I want to make sure we clarify what or how long does an increase stay on, and what's the length of it? And
Okay. An inquiry. Don't matter who put it on. It don't matter if we got put on it because you made an application, or we got put on by a creditor checking your file, or a potential creditor deciding to possibly give you credit. Don't matter how it got on there. A credit inquiry, a hard inquiry, stays on your credit report for 2 years plus 180 days. So literally that's 2 years, 6 months, essentially.
Mm-hmm.
You'll see people say it takes only 2 years. It is 2 years officially, but the bureaus have 180 days to remove it. So officially it's 2 years, but since they have 180 days to remove it from the reporting, they have at least 2 years, 6 months to get it removed. Now, the effect on your credit score is only 1 year. After 1 year, it has zero effect on your credit score. So it won't take any points off your credit score after 1 year. However, you still want to remove inquiries for the main reason we told you beforehand. Number one, an inquiry is nothing but a big, giant personal identifier verifier. And number two is any underwriter that gets let's say you file for a credit card or a bank loan or a mortgage or whatever. And even though the inquiry does not affect your score, when the underwriter looks at it, they say, boy, this guy has, 28 inquiries 16 months ago. So 16 months ago, which is not even 2 years ago, this person was looking for a bunch of credit. They're credit hawkers. They're dying for a bunch of credit. It looks bad. It looks like you're begging for credit. If you were begging for credit a year and a half ago, you probably need credit now too. And if you weren't worthy then, if you apply for 28 credits and yet now you only have 9 accounts, that means that at least 19 creditors turned you down. Well, why did 19 people turn you down? Although your score is great now, they start to wonder, well, if your score is great now, are you there?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought I hung up on you. But anyway, the underwriter said, well, geez, if 19 places turn you down, but your score now is a 750, why would they turn you down if you had a 750 back then? Why would 19 people do it? Well, the reason why they turned you down because your score wasn't 750 then. And even though the creditor now, the underwriter now cannot see your score back then, they know by red flags, hey, that's a red flag. Something was wrong at that point. So all you did, even though it's not on your credit report, you gave them the benefit of the doubt to say, hey, there was something wrong back then. Something was going on. Okay. Like if I told you, hey, I've been married 8 times. Even though my 9th marriage, I might be great. And these other 8 marriages, I might have somebody that was, maybe the girl cheated on me 8 times. Or maybe, 8 times they killed somebody and they went to prison. Or maybe 8 times they were druggies, whatever. But even though all that could be true, if you don't know my ex-wives, you're going to say, boy, you've been married 8 times, now you're married 9 times? There's something wrong with you, dude. I might be a perfect guy. I might be the perfect husband. I might be the perfect father. I might be perfect everything. But because I have a history of 8 bad things on my record,
right?
Yeah, it looks bad. So the same exact thing. Yeah. Even though you don't have a recent inquiry, the fact that you had older inquiries that not affect your score, and they can see it. They can see that you had 28 inquiries or 9 inquiries or whatever. They can see it, but yet they don't have you don't have the same amount of inquiry match up with your creditors.
Okay.
And it don't look right. Something's wrong.
So this is a very powerful process, or what Rodney's saying here, and that's why I wanted him to touch on this, guys. So
right, and that has nothing to do with score. That has nothing to do with score. Remember, credit score is about credit wealth. Credit health is about removing derogatories.
Yes.
What you want to be is more credit healthy. An underwriter, listen, to get to an underwriter, of course you got to have a certain score. But a score only gets you to the underwriter. Once it gets to the underwriter, and I used to be an underwriter, I'm telling you, an underwriter does not consider score at all. we don't care about score. Once it gets to the underwriter, we already assume that your score is the way it needs to be because you would never got to me anyway. Your file would never got to my desk if your score didn't meet a certain standard anyway. Now I look for other things. I look for, boy, how many inquiries? How many times has this person moved? Does he have one address or do he have 50 addresses? Does he have one name or do he have 28 names? Because if you have 28 names, it's going to be hard for me to locate you. Because if you go defunct or you decide not to pay your account and you go disappear on me, I got to write 28 different letters to 28 different names. If you got 9 addresses, now I got to write 28 letters to 9 different addresses each. That's like 300 letters almost. Mm-hmm. The creditor is saying, boy, the underwriter is saying, boy, you know what? If this person decides to say, screw you, I got to do a lot of work just to find them. You look like a score jumper. You look like a credit jumper. Do I want to deal with you? Probably not. Think about it. If you're going to loan somebody money, and you say, and I come to you and I say, look, man, Bobby, let me borrow $5 from you. And you say, boy, you know what? Today you're here in my classroom, but you know what? Yesterday, what classroom were you in? Today you're here at practice, watching a football game. You're here at football practice with us. But you know what? Out of the other 48 practices, you've been here twice. How do I know I'm going to get my money back from you? I don't. So do I want to give you $5? I probably don't. Well, an underwriter was the same way. They're like, boy, you know what? This person's going to be hard to find. Do I really want to go through all this? Do I want to give them that $5,000 loan? Do I want to give them that $80,000 home? Do I want to give them that $60,000 car? Probably not.
Yeah.
Or if I do give it to you, I'm going to give it to you at a higher payment with less months and higher terms. I'm going to make sure that it favors me more as opposed to you.
Yeah, let me make my money up front. Let me make my money up front.
Right.
So
right.
And that's why your interest rates are up, guys. So this is super, super powerful. Rodney's throwing some nuggets at you right now, guys.
Right.
So I'm just
right. In fact, you know what, Jesse? This is actually true. I have seen people with a 775 and greater score get completely flatly turned down for $5,000 loans because of inquiries. And I've seen people with 600 score get approved for $300,000 loans.
Yeah.
So even though the credit score was less, the credit wealth was less, the credit health, they had less derogatories, was better. They had no inquiries or they had no charge-offs and this and that.
Yeah. We're teaching you.
Just because your score is high, don't mean you're good at anything. That's right.
Yeah. No more score watching, guys. We don't want no score watching.
Right.
Here's the thing, guys. When you learn how to do this, you get your credit health fixed, your credit wealth will follow. It's going to follow eventually. It's all about a process. So we're teaching you how to get structure. You build your foundation so you can start to build that momentum to help you get to that score if that's what you're looking for, right?
Well, think about it like this, Jesse. Think about it. Tell me it's like a soccer game. A soccer game, you score. Not about how long you hold the ball. Whether you hold the ball out of 60 minutes, you hold the ball 58 minutes. But in the other 2 minutes, the other team scored 5 goals. And all you score is 4 goals. Who wins?
Right.
Because the other team wins. So even though you had a lot more time than they did, it don't matter. Like in football, who wins? The one that has the most points. Not who scored the most yards. You can have 800 yards, but if you only scored 17 points and I scored 30 points, I win. It don't matter how long I held the ball. It don't matter how many goals I scored. It all comes down to what are you getting to win? Why? Your goal is what wins. Your goal in credit repair should be remove all score blockers. The score blockers are the bad information, the inquiries, and the bad personal identifiers. Those are the things that are blocking your score. When you remove those score blockers, your score can go where it was supposed to go. To increase the score, credit repair is not how you do it. Credit repair does not increase scores. The only thing that will increase scores is you, the consumer, doing things that are positive. The positive things would be not paying late. Pay your bills on time or pay them on early. Pay your bill amount in full or more. Increase your credit age by paying longer. Increase your credit limits. Lower your credit debt. Don't have 3,000 out of 4,000 used up. cut it down to like 300 out of 4,000 or whatever. Those are positive credit activities that help you out.
Boom.
Those are things that a credit repair organization, no matter how expert they are or how much of a leader they are, they can't do those things. So when I hear people say, boy, I will increase your score, I'm thinking to myself, boy, that's crap. Nobody but you can increase your score. Your score increases by your positive actions, not because of credit repair. Nothing you remove increases your score. Now, your score can increase as a result of removing the score blockers, but it only increases to the point that it would have got to anyway, regardless of that blocker. Like the example that me and Jesse use all the time. You're driving down the road in a car. The car has a max speed of, say, 90 miles an hour. And you're driving 90 miles an hour. You're hitting it full blast. And you come across this tree in the road. It's in the road drop down. Of course, you have to stop. Remove the tree out of the way. When you remove the tree and you get back in the car doesn't magically automatically go now 100 miles an hour. The fastest it was going before the tree was there was 90 miles an hour. When you get back in the car, the fastest the car can go now is 90 miles an hour. It's not going to go 100 miles an hour now because you moved the tree. The tree did not increase the speed. The tree being removed only allows you to go as fast as you were going to go anyway. The only way you increase the speed of that car is by putting a more powerful engine in the car, putting better fuel in the car, or doing something to enhance the car's speed. Nothing you do elsewise is going to make a difference. The same thing in credit repair. The only thing credit repair, a credit repair business can do for you is help you remove the items that are stopping your score from getting where it was going to go anyway. Once it gets to where it's going to go anyway, or in between that point, the only thing that can be done otherwise to increase the score is based 100% on you. Nothing else that can be done. Only you.
Right.
Now I can hear people say, well, I can add credit lines. Another company can add credit lines. You know what? Even if you add credit lines, that is not them doing that. That is you. A business cannot add credit lines under your credit. Yep. You have to be the one to do that. You have to fill the paperwork out for that. That's something you do. So I hear people say, well, I added credit lines to this client's file. No, you didn't, you liar. You didn't add nothing. The client allowed it. The client used your advice. The client filled the information out. And if the client didn't fill the information out, it's illegal.
Yeah, because it's you basically getting credit in their name. So
that's right.
Now, and I know there's some out there that get power attorney and all this other stuff, but we don't want. Here's what he's saying. It's on you, basically. You can do this yourself. You can make this happen.
Hey, hold on a second. My kid's hands, guys. Hold on a second. I'm on the phone, son. All right, but I'm on the phone now. You gotta go.
This is live, guys. This is live. So
I'll be in a minute, Kevin. I love you.
It's all good. We got kids, guys, so this is the way it is. We got a real family. So, but we're going to end it right here and move on to the next step. But, guys, understand that, and I know we got off on a little tangent here, but this is important to understand. We got new people.
Oh, absolutely.
And as you guys come in, we want you to understand the fluctuation here and how powerful this is for you, because you can do this. You can do this. You don't need some other person doing it for you. If you're here, you're getting the education, you got the tools. This is how you're going to make it happen, and it's all on you to do that. And you can. So
and then, let me add this one. I know you're trying to hurry over. I'm sorry, but let me add this too. During your credit repair process, your scores will fluctuate. Okay, guys. They may go up 100 points. They may go down 30 points or 40 points, whatever. That is a fluctuation. That's something you can't control. Don't worry about that. You worry about getting rid of the derogatory information and the bad personal identifiers and the inquiries. Control what you control. Worry about what you control. You can't steer someone else's car. The only thing you got on the road, the only thing you control is your car. You can't worry about the guy behind you. You can't worry about the car in front of you. The only thing you can worry about is you. As long as you're driving straight and you're driving good, you're going to be okay. Everything else is things you can't worry about. Eventually, the traffic frees up, and you can go smoothly down the road. The same thing here. You don't worry about all that. Like Jesse said, don't score watch. If you score watch, you're never going to be happy. You're never going to be satisfied. And you're always going to wonder, why am I not winning? You're not winning because you're not playing the game right.
Exactly. 100%. All right. So that was good long process, but I think it was worth it because we got new people who need to know this stuff. All right, so
Right.
the next step, guys, that's the increase. 1, 2, 3, 4. The first 4 steps, that's the increase that goes out, and that now we just
Right.
now the next step is
Now,
going to be late payments. So Rodney,
right. And the step 5 and 6 is for late payments on accounts that you want to keep reporting. Now, I'm gonna say this again. That's accounts that you want to stay reporting. You do not want to challenge late payments on items that you don't want reporting, or that don't benefit you in any way, shape, or form. A closed account does not benefit you if it shows late payments on it. It can hurt you, however. So if the account's closed, I don't care if it's a mortgage, I don't care if it's a car loan that you paid off and did great. I don't care if you had, 18 years of great payments, had one late payment. If the account's closed, it does you no benefit to try to get it reported as paid as agreed, never late. That won't benefit you a single bit because it does not affect your current credit rating, because credit scores are based on your current activity. Your credit report is based on your current thing. This goes back to what is a credit score. A credit score is simple. It is only a definition of your likelihood to go deficient by 90 or more days on at least one count within the next 24 months. That's all a credit score is. A credit score is just a measure of how likely you are to default at least 90 days, at least one time on at least one account, sometime between the next 24 months, which is 2 years. That's it. It does not have any effect on your past. So your past does not matter. Whether that past is 1 month old or 5 months old, it does not matter on the predictability. Mm-hmm. Now, the late payments on the open accounts, they do affect your score because they're open accounts. Those histories do affect your score. Those credit limits do add in. The debt amounts do add in. So if it's an open account, you need to consider, is this something that I need to keep reporting or not reporting? Now, here's how you know the difference. Here's where our criteria came down to. If the account is open and if the account has 3 or more late payments, go for a deletion. And the reason why is, you could get them to remove 1 late payment or 2 late payments, but the odds of them removing 3 late payments is very slim to none. They're really not going to necessarily do that. So if the account has 3, 4, 5, 10, or whatever late payments, go ahead and go for a deletion. Use letters 7 and 8. If the account is at least 3 years old and has only 1 or 2 late payments, and those late payments are not older than 4 years old, go ahead and go use letter 5 and letter 6. Because those are accounts you do want to keep reporting, and you're going to go for something called a PAANL, a paid as agreed, or a paid as agreed, never late status. The reason why you want paid as agreed, never late, as opposed to just paid as agreed, because when someone says paid as agreed, it's only an indicator of what the current situation was when that time was reported. So it only reports that exact month of when it was reported. It has no effect on what the history of that account was. So you can have 80 late payments, for example, and if your last payment was on time, it will say paid as agreed, even though you still have 80 late payments. So the account itself will be very derogatory, but to you as a novice, as a do-it-yourself person, you look at it, you're like, whoa, I have a good account here. My student loan, my capital thing here that I haven't paid half the time, it's a positive account. I'm not going to touch it. Well, that's fooling you. That's misleading. Because even though it says pay as agreed, it has late payments shown on the 81-month calendar, or on the past due amount listed on each month, it'll show a dollar amount. In those cases, you want to challenge it. Again, you only want to challenge open accounts that are 3 years or less are 3 years or more old, and that are also has a late payment. The bad late payment only came in the last 48 months or less. If it's more than 48 months, it don't affect your score, so don't even worry about it. So let's say you got a Navient student loan, and it's an open account, and let's say it's 10 years old or whatever, however old, it doesn't matter how old it is. But the late payment that you had, let's say you had 5 late payments on it, and those 5 late payments happened 6 years ago. Well, guess what? It don't affect your score. It don't help your score, but it don't affect your score. So there's no reason to even challenge it. Don't even worry about it. Leave it be. It's okay. Leave it alone. So if the late payment happened 4 years or more ago, don't even worry about it. It's not even going to affect the score. If it does affect the score, it's like 1 point. You're going to spend more time ever trying to get rid of that 1 point than what you can possibly gain. Again, we wrote in the inside the flow chart, we broke it down exactly. In fact, I'm going to read it real fast to you. Late payments you desire to challenge. We already described why you want to desire. If it is both at least 36 months old and only has 1 or 2 late payments on an otherwise positive open account. So if it's not open, don't even worry about using letter 5 or letter 6. It makes no sense. Okay. If the account is both 36 months old at least and only has 1 or 2 late payments and is open and otherwise would be positive. That means they don't have no other bad information on there, like a charge-off or a collection or whatever. In those cases, you would want to go ahead and use letter 5 to the creditors and letter 6 to each bureau. That would be wave 1, letter 5 for each creditor reporting the late payment allegation if and only if the account is at least 36 months old with only 1 or 2 late payments on the open account. You would use wave 1, letter 6 for each credit bureau, Experian, Equifax, TransUnion. If you think LexisNexis or Innovis or Texas is important, challenge them as well. Why not? But if you did, you would use letter 1 or wave 1, letter 6. And again, that's for any late payment allegations if and only if it is at least 36 months old with only 1 or 2 late payment claims. If the account is open, only has 1 or 2 late payments, but is less than 36 months old. At that point, it's something you got to weigh out yourself. I'm not going to tell you what to do on that. You got to decide, do I want to even challenge this or not? At that point, call them on the phone. Don't write a letter. Call them on the phone and say, hey, you know what? Can I get you to forgive me this one time? I was late one time. Can you give me a goodwill forgiveness? Now, doing a goodwill by phone is perfectly fine. It doesn't hurt you at all. Doing it by letter is bad. And I'm going to tell you why it's bad. If you're doing a goodwill by letter, you're putting in writing that you are agreeing that they're reporting the item correctly and they're reporting the item compliantly. And you're agreeing that, hey, yeah, I was late, and yeah, I am guilty. And what you do, you eliminate any possibility of a dispute after that or even a challenge of that because you are admitting that it's compliantly written the way they have reported. So if you use a goodwill, only do it by phone. And if you do it by letter, only do it by letter after you've done every other possible dispute or challenge. Okay. You would never want to do a goodwill before that because all you're doing is verifying that, yeah, they have it reported correctly. And you're asking for their forgiveness. And good luck on that.
Okay. So let me kind of bring us back a little bit because I know people are going to still ask these questions. So
go ahead.
Make sure if you guys, I would go back and watch this part here because this is very tricky if you don't understand it. But I think Rodney's laying it out for you. Right, we're getting some feedback, brother.
I was drinking soda. I'm sorry.
Okay. So what he's saying is if it's at least 36 months old.
3 years. Right, 2 years.
3 years. And has 1, maybe 2 late payments on it. Do a pay and opened, right? Not closed, and opened.
Right.
Paid as agreed, never late. Positive. Right. So paid as agreed.
And otherwise positive.
And otherwise positive. So, in other words, it would be positive if it was correct, right? If it was in.
Right. Right. If you remove your late payments, it would be a positive count. Absolutely.
Right. So if and I'm just clarifying because we're gonna have new people that are kind of like, I have no clue about this stuff. So 3 years, at least 3 years with only one or two, and it could be positive and it's not closed. So you want to send a paid as agreed, never late, both for creditors and bureaus. Now, if it's more than one or two lates and period, right? If it's just more than one or two, then you want to go look at the length of it, how old it is, and then you want to see if you should delete it or just leave it alone, right? So it's more than
right.
If it's 6 years old.
I guess I'm gonna cover that. Yeah, if it, regardless of how many late payments it is, if it's older than 3 years old, 48 months old, the effect on your score is minimal. I wouldn't even worry about it. If it's closed account, who cares anyway? It don't matter. But if it's an open account and those late payments were more than 3 years, let's say 2012, at that point, there might be a small benefit of a challenge in it, but it's so little, it's not even worth the effort. At that point, you can request a pay as agreed, never late, but I wouldn't, if it came back verified and nothing changed, don't worry about it. It's not a loss. It's not a win, but it's not a loss.
Okay.
The effect is so little in your score, and that is not.
Okay.
So that's a big point there. If the late payment happened 4 years or more ago, don't worry about it too much.
Great. So 4 years or more, if doesn't matter. So and especially if it's closed.
That's such a late payment. Not if it's old. Not if it counts 4 years old, but the late payment is 4 years old.
Late payment. Okay, good clarification. That's good to know. Late payment, not account, guys. Late payment, not the account.
Right.
So you have a late payment 3.5 years ago. What would we do, Rod? Paid as agreed, never late?
Right, we go for that. That's right. Use 5 or 6.
There you go. So do you see how this math is working out here, guys? So you just got to think
about it. If it was 47 months ago, you again use letter 5 or 6. 48 months is the timetable you want to work with.
48 months. And I like that. I might even add that in to the actual flow chart. Now, again, if you have 1, 2 maybe, then you can go paid as agreed, never late. If you have more than 2, then you probably want to look at going for deletions, which is challenged.
Right.
So, and that would be more of 7 and 8. So we're going to talk about that now, actually. So why don't we progress into that? Because we're going to have people saying, well, I got charge-offs, I've got medical, I've got student loans that I need to get deleted, blah, blah, blah. So let's move into that next segment. If you can't get it paid as agreed, never late with those particular things that we just specified, then you want to move to what we do next is 7 and 8. So why don't we talk about that now?
Exactly. Now, with 7 and 8 covers everything else in wave 1 that is not an inquiry, a personal identifier, or a late payment that you want to keep reporting. That would be missed payments, mail collections, regular non-mail collections, charge-offs, repos, student loans that you just want to get rid of, child support issues, alimony,
repos.
Tax liens, bank loans. I already said repos.
Did you?
Bank loans, bankruptcies, judgments, anything else. Go ahead and use the letter 7 to each creditor or collector and letter 8 to each of the bureaus, including LexisNexis and Innovis and check systems if you had those, or if you want to address those to be preemptive. Again, wave 1 is a setup wave. It sets up wave 2. So if you skip using wave 1 and go straight into wave 2, you're not going to be successful with wave 2. Wave 2 will be an ultimate failure if you just try to do that. Do not do that.
Don't be a step skipper.
Right. If you skip it, it's not happening. It's like trying to play. You go to bat without a bat. Well, you could hit a home run with your hand, I'm sure, but do you really want to? You probably don't. You got a lot more success hitting a home run with a bat than you do with your bare hand.
So there you
that's
go.
what you're doing, basically.
So there you guys go. I mean, the RTG 8-step process. We broke it down. I think we've given it every single thing that we hear questions on. I think this covered it in this video, Rodney. I think we did a really good job on really bringing that back. You must be taking another drink because we're getting a lot of feedback.
I was.
We can hear you. So, guys.
That was a pina colada, though. That was a pina colada my wife brought me.
There you go. He's relaxing by the pool. So, guys, this is the thing. You have to understand it's a step-by-step process. Now, we just broke it down for you. If you do not watch this video, if you're not seeing this video right now, I'm telling you, you're missing everything, right? Now we have, Rodney, at this point, we have a flow chart. We have this video, step-by-step. Cut the strings, increase, late payments. How do you use them?
Now, what are we going to name this video? So I'm going to refer people. What are we going to name this video?
We're going to name this. Cut screen. We're going to name this step by step, the RTG step by step process. That's it. Step by step.
Yeah. Okay. There you go. There you go. Auto chat step by step. That's right.
Yep. The RTG.
Wave 1 step by step. Wave 1 step by step. There you go.
All right. So all you got to tell them is, it's the RTG step by step. I'm going to have it in there. It's going to be right there at the top. They can't miss it. If they skip this video, and if you're listening to this, I apologize because you didn't do it. So, but Rodney, I think that's good. I think what we're going to do next is we're going to do video on the second wave. But I think for now, we just wanted to get this out. We're going to see how this goes, and we'll see how many people.
So if anybody asks questions, Jesse, I'm going to refer them. So look, go watch the video. That's all I'm doing. I'm not going to answer any more questions on personal identifiers or Wave 1. I'm not going to answer any more questions on them. I'm going to refer them to the video.
There you go. That's what we get this for. So, all right, guys. We love you guys. We're trying to make this better, make it easier for you. For you new people coming in, thank you for watching this first. For my people that are confused and you're watching this, thank you for doing it as well. Guys, I think that's a wrap. Rodney, thank you for spending this time helping me get this done so we can help people out. Other than that, that's a wrap. And we'll see you guys on the weekly calls.
All right.